Alright, here we go. Oh, I've lost it, come on. Alright, Samantha Sawyer. Is it okay to give my girl folic acid after 33 days of AR to prevent possible cleft balance? Asking as I saw this video, not sure how I missed it. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it would really be better to start it when you did the AI, but you're late on it, and that's okay. I mean, for the many years we didn't know about folic acid, we never even gave it. So, no, it's fine. It's fine. Edwin De Jesus. Probably pronounced that wrong.
Jesus?
Yes, thank you. I just bred my girl a week ago. Since surgical, she's had no interest in her food, and she's been really aggressive with my male. She's no interest in her food, has only really wanted water. A little bit of food that she eats, she doesn't seem to be able to hold it down and ends up vomiting up. I'm wondering if this is normal. Should I see a vet? Well, first off, the behaviour towards the male is because she's out of season, so she doesn't want anything to do with him. She's like, hey, I've already got messed with enough. So that's that part.
When you're done, you're done.
When you're done, you're done. Exactly. You women will know what we're talking about here. And you know how boys are, they're insistent. They you know, try and get it anywhere they can. So that's what's going on there. The dog that's not interested in food, well, you know, it's quite common to get, you know, basically it's morning sickness. You can see that where they're off their appetite. And so that may be a good sign that she's pregnant. On the other hand, it could be a bad sign that she's got pyometria, especially if she's very thirsty. So what you do is take a temperature. If her temperature is 102 or higher, time to go to the vet, find out what's going on. If the temperature is less than that, I just wait and see if you can just, she'll come through this. But a dog, especially a dog that's been bred, is susceptible to pyometria, which is basically bacterial growth in the uterus. And what's called a closed pyometria, you might not see any physical signs of any leakage, and so that really can be a problem. So take a temperature. Derek Shamboko says, this man knows everything to know about breeding dogs. Well, thank you. You need to write a book. Yeah, well, I thought about that, but I don't think I will. I'm too lazy. But anyway, he goes on and says, I bred my Jack Russell Terrier and got 7 puppies. I'll rephrase what I remember today. Day 1 is the day you see first blood, correct. I bred her on day 11, 13, and 15 without progesterone levels. Swapped every day, look for colour change. It should come clear or light pink around day 11. Well, typically more like day 9 for most dogs when they ovulate, but you're on the right track, and hopefully you get a good litter out of this. DC4 Bang, talking about, I made a mention about a dog that's AT could make fawns, and I guess that's not, I mean, an ATAY, if you put an AT dog and mated it with a dog that gave AY, ATAY, it's sables. I call it fawns, but it's sables. The point I want to make more, and I guess I didn't say it correctly. The point I meant to make is that dog will not make brindles if he doesn't have a copy of brindle. And that was really my distinction between brindles and fawns. And you either get fawns or brindles is to get the colours. That's what I meant by that. So I didn't say it quite right, so I apologise. If you breed, so Us Shabazz 12 says, hope all is well. It is. Thank you for asking. If you breed a male with these genetics, 80s, that's 10 points. Little CO, that's a Coco. Big B, little b, it's a copy of Testable. Big D, little d, that's a copy of Blue. Big E, little e, visual fluffy, no pied, no brindle. To a female, that's 80A, so you're going to get 80As and you'll get 80A, you'll get 80 ATs and you'll get AATs. Those are both 10 points. Neither dog has brindles, so the 10 points will show. Big B, little b, so you've got a chance that you should get some dogs that are testable chocolate. Little d, since the other dog has a copy of Blue, you get some dogs that are blue. NCO, so since the other dog was COCO, you'll get some chocolates, which means you'll also get some lilacs, which will also mean that you could get some new shades. Very nice. Visual fluffy to an L1, one copy, then half the litter is going to be full fluffies, the other half will be fluffy carriers. So yeah, so there you go. So nice litter, nice litter. What is, Jade Doyle says, what is a silver blue? What's a silver blue, Tammy?
It's a blue dog. I mean, it must be high intensity on that dog too. I mean, you know, we've had dark gunmetal blues, and we've had silvery blues.
And fawn blues and everything in between.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes it silver. I don't know if it's intensity or not. I don't know. New. So, yep. The answer is blues comes in lots of shades, and I'm not sure. There's probably other genes that are playing around there that affect this, and I don't know what those genes are, nor can you probably test for them. Volkline Agigo. I'm asking how much is dog frozen semen usually cost on average? Well, I can't answer that question in terms of what the average cost of a stud dog is, because it varies so much by the person, by the structure, by the DNA. And I mean, if you ask us, just about what we do is fresh chilled semen, which is what almost everybody's doing. Our prices range from $2,000 to $12,000. So there's a huge range here. And obviously you can find people who are charging, I mean, there's people who've got dogs out there that are charging $20,000 for stud fees. And there are people out there. 25,000, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, which dog is that, do you know? It's going to be some kind of a full fluffy, isn't it? Probably a new shade.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Last I heard.
Yeah,
anyway.
so, I mean, some of these, some of those dogs that are producing those kind of, can you put your shade down your side there? Tammy, it looks like she's got a halo around her.
I do, I have one.
My little angel. There you go, thank you.
Everybody's making those little nasty comments.
It's coming up in a moment. It's coming up in a moment.
I could care less.
Oh,
really.
okay, but back to where we were. So, you know, a $25,000 stud fee, you know, that's a dog that's probably worth, you know, $500,000. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, and a lot of you are going to balk at that, but I'm serious. But the point here is, I think I'm going to talk about, is frozen versus chilled semen. What is the cost to ship chilled semen? It's the cost of a FedEx overnight delivery that's typically going to be something $100, $150 inside the continental US. And look, people are going to charge more than that because they've got to collect, they may have to go to the vet to do it, they've got a shipping box, they've got an extender, they've got time involved. So we charge $150 on every shipment, but that's not the norm. It's probably going to be more than that. But the question here is, what will it cost over that for frozen semen? And the answer is, why would you be using frozen semen? And the correct answer is that either you're shipping it overseas and it's got to be on a trip that's going to take many, many days. You can still use a shipmate product for it, but still, people do use it for that reason. And the other reason is that it's coming from a dog that is no longer around. And that dog has been archived. They've got semen that's been stored for months, years, decades, ready when it's needed. But frozen semen has to go in what's called a vapor tank, a nitrogen vapor tank. And the tank is expensive, $1,000, $1,500 for the tank. It's very bulky, so it costs a lot to ship it. It's got to be returned, it costs a lot to return shipping. So all those things will significantly add up to the cost, where I think that the minimum someone's going to charge you for frozen semen, I would think be a minimum $500, and it could be quite more than that. And if it's going outside the country, there's a whole process you've got to go through to be able to do it, which adds to the expense. And then when you get that frozen semen, you better be doing a surgical, because the semen will not last but maybe a couple of hours after it's been unfrozen. It can be kept frozen for a long, long time till the girl's ready. But the point here is that it's much easier, it's much less expensive, and it's basically a lot more reliable to use chilled semen, unless the dog is no longer around, or you're shipping over long periods of time to other parts of the world. I hope that answers your question. Rosalie's Entertainment. Hi James and Tammy, I was wondering how young a stud can be to be a stud. I found a young stud for my female, but I'm afraid he's too young. The male is 11 months old. So, Tammy, what do you think about that?
Well, AKC will accept them at 7 months if they're producing it.
Yeah, well, the AKC doesn't care, but they'll say any dog this side from a dog that's 7 months old, they give it a thumbs up.
They'll, let you register and all that stuff.
Yep.
But, yeah, your 11-month-old, if he hasn't been practiced with, then you might need to hurry up and practice with him.
Exactly. Tammy's right on the money. Right on the money. So the problem is that if you look at dogs, typically they're not doing very much at all until they're 8, 9 months old. And of course we have a lot of studs, so we want to get our studs online as soon as we can, because that's why we've got them. So we'll start mucking around with our studs at about 8 months. And typically what I'll find at 8 months is they'll start spitting out a little bit of semen, but there's If you looked under a microscope, there's plenty of sperm in there, but the volume is literally a drop. Obviously not going to do any good, because you've got to have 200 million motile sperm or more, and that dog in a drop might be producing, you know, maybe 10 million, a tenth of what you need or less. So the name of the game is that you introduce that dog to females, and you do that probably every week or every 10 days to get the dog accustomed to what the process is, so that it's a pleasure. Exactly. So it's a pleasurable experience for him. If you take an 11-month-old dog and you've done that starting at 8 months, by 11 months he might be online. But if you took that dog at 11 months and tried it for the first time, I almost guarantee you will not be successful. In fact, if you take any dog that's up to a year and a half old and he's never been used before, the chances are you've got a very good chance he will not be successful. You've got to get this dog being practiced. And the other thing about this is, if you've got a dog that's 3 years old that's never been used, he'd probably be fine, but he probably won't be fine the first time, because he needs to be cleaned out, basically. So, you know, anything that's in there that hasn't been ejaculated in the last, you know, month is probably not very good. You'll probably have a lot of dead sperm. So the answer is, will the 11-month-old work? Possibly. But if that 11-month-old is just being used for the first time, you've got a potential problem in your hands.
Sometimes you get a little blood inside that too.
Yes, that's a good.
Go ahead and use it.
Yes.
But
I see that quite a bit on dogs that have not been used. Older dogs haven't been used very frequently, where they'll get a kind of a pinky colour to their semen, maybe quite red. Still okay, actually, but not what you want to see. Not what you want to see. So I think the name of the game is that someone needs to evaluate the dog. I mean, the right way to do this is to go to a vet who has a machine that they can actually go look and do a count on the semen, and they'll tell you how many are swimming straight, how many they're going around in circles, how many have got split tails, how many have got two heads. So what you're looking for is a total number of good-looking motile sperm. And all the ones that are swimming off in silly directions, or the morphology is wrong, they don't look right, they don't count. I think we've talked this to death, haven't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
Chanel's got one boy, one girl left out of her platinum fluffy carrier.
Yep.
You can call her at 580-799-2875, and she will FaceTime. She wants you to call her so she can visit with you about her babies, and you can visit with her, and then she'll set up the FaceTime.
I missed the comment on your driving, Tammy. I guess we'll put that in the next Q&A. Come up. One little thing on the semen, by the way. The important thing here is you need to evaluate. Somebody needs to evaluate the semen and know what's going on, especially in younger dogs, because you don't want to be disappointed. And the other part about this is you should have a backup plan too. So, you know, for us, when we ship semen, every now and then we'll collect from a dog and it doesn't look any good, and then we won't ship it. So then
we'll call the customer, yeah.
Absolutely. No, we don't just not ship it. What we do is we have a backup plan. We've got other stud dogs. We say, hey, guess what? This dog not looking so hot today. Sorry about that, but look, I can get you into a nicer dog for the same money, because we're not going to do a switch and bait on you. Everybody's happy. But if they don't have another stud dog, you need to have a plan B, because you may be left high and dry, and it's not their fault. It's just the way it happens. There we go. Say goodbye, Tammy. You put a nice smile. Bye. Watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.